business continuity. Business continuity. It supports the gig economy supports business continuity, and yeah, it supports business continuity. It helps to fill gap. So, for instance, like the temporary workers or the part-time workers now, right? So, for instance, like an employee that holds a critical role in the organization goes on leave or has an abrupt, emergency that has to go for. But the role is quite critical. And so you are bringing in a part-time worker to fill up that role for a particular period of time that the employee is away. Yeah, so it enhances business continuity for that. All right, going forward, what are the challenges? What are the challenges that HRs that we face in this gig economy? We are all in the space. What challenges do we face? Number one is lack of formal structure. When there's no formal structure in place, there can be problem. Say for instance, no standardization in the hiring process or in the exit process. Contracts are not signed properly, right? This can cause a big problem for the HR. Also, difficulty in tracking performance. Because there's no proper structure in place, there would be difficulty in tracking performance. And because we know that these workers, mostly they work remote, and even if they work in the organization, it's sort of they come in and they go out. And so it's sort of difficult for some HR to be able to track performance of these freelancers. If there are no proper processes in place, there might be some friction in tracking their performance. If there's no proper KPI set, if you are not having proper platforms that can be used to be able to checkmate what these people are doing, say like for instance virtual meetings, HR softwares that you can use to be able to checkmate or track the performance of, there might be a problem. Also, onboarding inconsistency. When there's inconsistency in your onboarding, you are not clearly spelling out the expectations. Tools that are required for these workers to do their work are not being given at stated time. It can lead to some challenges as well. Also, engagement and loyalty. When there's no proper engagement of this workers rather, proper communication are not being given, and interactions are limited, it can also lead to challenges for the HR person. Also, legal risks in the sense that having misclassification of workers, in a process whereby you're treating your gig workers or freelancers like employees, that's a big problem there, right? There should be clear difference between the gig workers and the employees. And also in area of breaches of contracts, confidentiality, right? Because these people come into our organization, they get to be privy to some information, some confidential information. How well are they able to, be able to keep this information and not, give this information to other competitive organization? These are many more as some of the issues that are being faced by HR in the gig economy. All right, going forward, some of the strategies that we can put in place for our contingent worker or freelancers. Number one, effective onboarding strategies. We should implement a structured onboarding process, clearly spelling out expectations. Deliverables should be well spelled out. And even from the initial experience that will be given for onboarding, tools that will be needed, they should come in timely, right? And also, we can also have like a checklist for these freelancers or gig workers, for them to know that, okay, this is what they need to do at a particular point in time. This is how they need to deliver at this particular point in time. Also, policies and procedures as well is expected. Introduction to team members. They don't just come into the organization and everybody knows who is this person, who is that, and they are left in oblivion. Secondly, the use of technology. I mentioned that earlier to facilitate onboard, not even only onboard, even to track performance as well. We need to leverage on technology, right? We have project management tools that can be used. We also have virtual meetings that can be, you can bring up virtual meetings wherever the gig worker is to be able to, track performance, schedule meetings as well, communication, and also, proper administration, proper recording documentations of the documents that this gig workers have. Then also clear communication and consistent engagement. Clear communication and consistent engagement to ensure expectations are met, and also timely feed. Regular monitoring of freelance performance, I've already said that, to ensure quality standards are met. All right, so I'll be handing over to my colleague, Mr. Adewale Fasino. He will be taking us on the setting clear expectations, how to set clear expectations for the gig workers. All right, now over to you, Adewale.
All right. Thank you very much, Temitope. Thank you very much for that wonderful time. And I would like to please kindly confirm that you can hear me um, from there. Please confirm that you can hear me, please.
I can hear you, Willie, so I believe
Okay.
people can.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. And once again, like I said, thank you very much, Temitope. So as I move on, I would like us to take a poll. So I'll bring it up a poll now. Just look at your screen and then would kick it off from there. So it's just two basic questions. So I will give us like maybe like 10 to 15 seconds to just pick our responses. So I'll be launching it right away. So it should be on your screen now. So please just take the poll, just to click. I mean, it's just basic. So the first one talks about rate how you feel about remote work model. One being the lowest, five being the highest. Well, so what we are feeling is I want us to look at it from not just the employee's point of view, even from the human resource manager's point of view. I know from the employee's point of view, all of us we pick five. I mean, everybody wants to work from, but for you as the one managing the employees, I mean, for some of us that are, what do you call it now, human resource officers or managers here, so between 1 to 5, what do you feel about it? Then the second question says, what percentage of your organization currently work remotely or hybrid? In your own organization from 0% to 100%. So I would like to get feedback. So keep it coming, keep it coming. I think 4 people have taken the survey now, making 5, 6. Let's keep it coming. You see it on your screen. Okay. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. So how do you rate remote work mode? Like I said, not just from an employee's point of view, but from like maybe human resource manager or even a manager, a team manager, for example. How do you rate it? Then also to how many percentage of your what percentage of your organization currently work remotely or hybrid? Okay, let's keep it coming. So we have like about 20 seconds more. Okay, we have 15 people that have taken. Let's keep it coming. Yes, yes, yes. We have about 12 seconds more. Okay, I think we have a few more people to take it. So we are still waiting a few more people. We have about 8 seconds more. Please let's take the poll before we check the results, and then we can now pick up the conversation from there. Okay, let's keep it coming. We have about 3 seconds more. Okay, all right. So I think let's just get the result now. Then we'll pick up our conversation from there. All right. So I'll be sharing the result now to see what we have. Okay, so I've started sharing the result. Okay, so from what we can see here, about 38% of the people that feel, said they feel 3 out of 5 for how they rate remote work model. 3 out of 5. Then we have about 31% saying that they pick 4 out of 5. Then we have 31% as well saying they pick 5 out of 5. I think this is quite interesting because that shows that the majority are in between, just three over 3/5, right? Okay, but we don't have anybody that have 1 or 2. Okay, then the other one talking about what percentage of the organization currently works remotely or hybrid. So we have 14% saying 0%. Wow. Then 7% of the people here said only 20% of their current organization works remotely. Then 7% and 50% of them. Then let's go further. Then about 14% said 80% of their current workforce works remotely. Then 43%, which is the majority, said 90% of the current workforce work remotely. Then we have 14% saying that hi everyone, apologies. I think internet just tripped for a few seconds. So I was trying to read out what we have in the with the results from the survey that we just conducted now. So I was saying that the vast majority, which is 43%, said 90% of the current workforce in the organization work remotely. Then we have a 14% that said 100%. I mean, everybody in the organization work remotely. This is quite commendable. So thank you everyone for taking time to fill to take the survey. Thank you so much. So what does this mean? The fact that we can look at this data and say, okay, even within Nigeria, we have a lot of people that work remotely. Why are we looking at this? Because at the heart of the gig economy is a remote work structure. Right. For those of us that are HR people, you agree with me that these days, when you are conducting maybe like interviews, one of the key requirements that you hear from the younger generation is, oh, is the work, is it remote or is it fully remote or is it hybrid? It has become a norm. And how did this come into play? It came into play through the gig economy, people doing short-term contracts, people working with international organizations. And I can tell you for free that if you ask vast majority of people in your organization that do they have friends who are working remotely or doing hybrid, they will tell you that yes, they do. And this has an implication on us as HR professionals or even as managers or even as workers. And one of the key challenges is how do we now manage performance? How do we get this right in terms of performance? How do we ensure that, yes, people are working remotely, they are working from home, they are doing, but then we are still getting the same results that we are supposed to get? And this is always the bigger question that management asks us. For those of us here that are HR people, management will ask you, how do you manage your performance? And a lot of times we start by stuttering. And once you stutter, maybe the MD or the CEO or the CFO or anybody at the top there tells you that you don't have a plan. So please, this cannot work. I'm sure that a lot of us, if HR managers that are here, have gone through this so many times. So, but to start with, let's look at how do we set clear expectations for gig workers? How do we set clear expectations for gig workers, right? Because it's critical. So the first thing we have to look at is we have to clearly define the roles and responsibilities. From my experience, one of the biggest challenges that we see is that the roles and responsibilities are not clearly defined. And then there are loopholes in terms of what is my role, what are the things I'm expected to do. Then what we result in is more of emotional blackmail. That but you know that you should be around. But then when the person was coming in as a what do you call it now? Maybe as a contract worker that is working remotely or hybrid, you are not setting clear expectations and clear responsibilities. Sorry, clear roles and responsibilities. So it's very important. That's the first thing that we should do. And for this particular kind of employees, it's important that you have well documented details. So if it means that you write everything that you know they will be doing, right, so that there's no space for ambiguity. The second one is communicating deadlines to them. For us as HR professionals, right, if when we have people in the office, it's easy for us to walk to them and to their desk and say, hey, how come you have not done this? How come you have not done? But when people are working remotely, you don't have that leverage to walk up to them on the desk or on the table, which means that the deadlines for the projects or whatever they are working on has to be written very clearly. It's very important. In fact, this is one of the most important things that we can think of, that you must ensure that everything is written, okay, the deadlines, what matters, and there is full details. Then next, The next, we have setting quality standard for deliverables. Another thing, I know some of us might have worked with, let me use tech workers, for example, now maybe all these programmers and all these guys, some of us might have worked with them before. And one of the things that you realize is that if you are not careful to set the good standards for their deliverables, they will just do the work the way they want to do it. And because probably you are not so enlightened about what they are doing, you will not know how to monitor them or how to check them. Because when you ask someone that, oh, how come this program is not like this, it's easy for them to bamboozle you, and tell you that, no, it should be this way. But you know somewhere that this is not what I wanted, right? So it's important that you set quality standards for deliverables. Then the fourth one, when it comes to this, is feedback loops for continuous improvement. There must be continuous communication. There must be a feedback loop. There must be a feedback loop for continuous improvement, which means feedbacks have to be given not until project is completed, even on a need-to-need basis. From time to time, you must ensure that there is feedback. And how does this tie up for HR people, right? So we are talking about HR people. You might not necessarily be the one managing them, but where we sit, on the table that we sit, it's where we are able to guide the line managers that are working with these gig workers to know how to set all these things. How do you set? A line manager can just tell you, oh, please, HR, I need someone to be doing this thing for us. I need this. I need you. At the HR, I'll say, okay, what exactly do you want this person to be doing? Right? Start defining the responsibilities. Also, too, a manager can come and tell you that I've been calling him since yesterday. He has not sent this. There's pressure on me. But you are going to guide the line manager. No, you won't just come like that. You have to be able to set deadlines, and the deadline should be communicated and written down for everybody to see. Also, to quality standards of delivery as well, right? It's very easy for a line manager to say that these boys are doing rubbish. Oh, I employ them as graphic designers. See, they are not doing anything because they are working remotely. But you are the one as an HR professional who is to guide such managers and say, no, see, before you do that, you must have a standard. You must be able to show them this is what I expect of you, because this is very critical when it comes to managing remote workers or gig workers. Then lastly, like I said earlier, the feedback loop for continuous improvement, right? So let's dive into performance management in gig economy environments, and let's really look at some of the evidences that are there that says that in a way, working remotely has actually enhanced productivity and performance in a way, right? Due to some study. These are studies, so these are not just hearsays, right? Like a Stanford study, a Stanford University study says 13% as working remotely had led to 13% increase in performance for remote workers due to fewer distractions and sick days, right? Is when people are working remotely, the number of days that they will call in sick will reduce compared to when they are working coming to the office. So this study said there have been 13% increase in performance. Then there's a study that was carried out by Cisco, which says 60% of respondents reported increase in productivity in hybrid positions, right? That's 60%. And there are different factors to it. Why is it important that we have this at the back of our mind? So that when we are engaging our management as HR people, we have facts to back it up, right? We'll still get to the point where we talk about how do you present a case for this to management. Because I know that there are some of us here that probably our organizations are still not doing it, or even the ones that we are doing it, they are still already complaining, already telling us that we should cancel this hybrid thing, right? So we should get to that. But let's just go ahead. So now let's dive straight into issue of performance, right? So evaluating the freelancers' performance effectively. How do we evaluate their performance effectively? Number one, it goes to what I said earlier, that setting serious KPIs, not vague KPIs, that KPIs that really matter, right? So establishing the relevant KPI is very crucial. And when it comes to managing gig workers or freelancers, it's important that we know that we have to focus on what matters. We have to focus on that's how we can work, right? So setting your clear KPIs, the way it's supposed to be and the way it's measurable is very critical. Then the stage 2 talks about utilizing performance review for the managers that are managing them, right? Making sure that they use performance review, they conduct performance review meetings, they have structured ways of which they engage them. From experience and from talking to some of the clients, you realize that some of the challenges that you face with these workers is that, like I said earlier, the manager will just come up one day and tell you that this person, I've been trying to call him, he's not responding to my call. Oh, this guy's not performing. Let's sack him now. But you as an HR professional is expected to ensure that they utilize structured performance review system so that they have is maybe you meet every beyond the startup that they stand up meetings that they have every day. They have times that they meet to review the performance, and the performance are being tracked. Then the third one is freelancers feedback. It's also important that they themselves give feedback as the manager is measuring their performance and is speaking with them. It's important that they are given the room to also give feedback, because sometimes too they don't have the right instruments or the right equipment. Rather, sometimes there are certain factors that are in play, but when they don't get the chance to give feedback, all they will be hearing is that this thing is not working. This remote, I will call all of you back. I will everybody back to the office. But once we have a standard and then there is a place for feedback, you can easily hear from them. This is why this is not working. This is why this is working. Then the last one says the challenges in measuring freelancer success. Sometimes too, we face challenges, especially when it comes to the qualitative, right? Sorry, the quantitative aspect of it, because they are not really in the office, so you are not able to measure some things. But then there are still ways to go about this, right? There are still ways to be able to measure, because it's very important that we learn to measure the success of these freelancers or people that are working remotely. So let's go straight into that now. So how do we manage their performance? Number one, which I think is one of the most important, I want you to listen to this, is that we need to shift from surveillance to performance management. Let me repeat that, because I know some of us might be familiar with this. We need to shift from surveillance to performance management. What a lot of us do is surveillance. I want to know what they are doing every time. I want to know what's happening there. It's not performance management. So the focus is on the output, not on the hours. What a lot of us do, which, I mean, to be fair to us, is what we've done over the years, right? Is to measure, to measure, oh, what's this person? And where are you sitting? What are you doing? Are you pressing your laptop now? I noticed that for the past one, I've not pressed your laptop. What have you been doing? It's not working for remote work. That's why a lot of organizations are having issues, because the people that are supposed to manage the performance of the employees, they are still focusing on surveillance. That means they're still focusing on the output, on the hours as opposed to the outputs. If we want this to work, right, that means remote work or hybrid, we must learn to focus on the outputs. So whatever the job role is important that we see how we can tie it to output. Hello. Okay. Apologies once again, please. We're having a bit of internet glitch here in our office. Okay, so as I was saying, uh, that it's important that we learn how to focus on performance management and not surveillance. And not just us as HR professionals, even for the managers that are managing these people, it's very important that we educate them that what matters is the delivery when it comes to managing remote workers. Because by the time you are focusing on what would I call it? Like on just the hours, the performance is dropping, but you are not noticing. But the important thing is that we focus on how to, like I said, shift from surveillance to performance management. And how do we do it? To ensure that we have very strong KPIs, right? Right. And then, for example, some of the KPIs you can look at is task completion rates, quality of the work, adherence to deadline, customer satisfaction wherever this is needed. I mean, if they are customer-facing employees, but it's important that we focus on performance management as opposed to surveillance. So the important thing is not to know where are you now? I called you, you didn't pick your call. The point is the output, right? It's very important when it comes to dealing with gig workers, because or else what you will have is that every now and then they will be leaving, and then you have to be recruiting over and over again. That's part of how you can manage them. Then the next one we can look at is the tools as well for managing them. So we have different tools for different reasons. Some of the tools for managing remote work and hybrid work. Number one is the project management software. Depending on the kind of job that they do, or depending on the kind of project that you embark on in your organization, it's important that you research and find what works for you and your organization, right? But there are so many tools out there that we can leverage on that can help us to be able to manage people that are working remotely. One of them is Trello. Trello is very good. It's a task management tool. In-house here, for us at Kimberly, right, we actually have a tool that we use for this. We call it the Clocker app, right? It's a tool for task management, which is because we work remotely as well. So we have some days that we work at home, some days we're in the office. So we have a tool that we actually use to track tasks. Right, task management. So it's important that you have this so that everything that people are doing are what they are documented. So you can see that, oh, this person has done this, and progress can be monitored real time. Another one is also the communication platform. We might need to explore different communication platforms like Slack, depending on your organization and the kind of work that you do. And of course, the cloud-based document sharing platforms as well, like the Google Drive, the OneDrive, and the likes. Then we also now have the time tracking as well, to know, depending on the kind of work that you do, like I said, where you're able to know track, and why they track time, why they track time, sometimes it's for sake of invoicing. For those that are working in consulting, there might be need to know the number of hours that this person has worked, so that when it's time to make payment to them, you're able to make payment to them. That's also important. Then activity monitoring, but this is very dicey. Right, you have to be careful so that you don't end up being a nosy HR or nosy manager, right? So it's important that we know that we shift from, like I said earlier, from surveillance to real performance management. Also, too, talking about managing the performance of remote workers, another good one is also the goal-based tracking, right? Similar to what I said earlier, that it's important that there is a goal, there are indicators, there is where we are going, and we're able to monitor that. It's very, very critical that we're able to manage the goals, and we are not just So it's very important that we're able to manage the goal-based tracking, right? And also we have to now think about the recognition programs as well. So because they are not working physically, we might not be able to do the kind of birthday, like in our office now, when we are in the office, we do birthday together. But when people are working remotely, there are different other ways to do it. Maybe digital badge to acknowledge achievements, doing virtual shout outs, and so many other methods that you can actually employ to recognize the employees when they are working remotely. Then also, we have to now look at the best practices for ethical management of remote workers. What are the best practices? And one of them is transparency. It's very important that we are transparent. One of the challenges we might have is when we are not transparent and we are telling them one thing and we are doing another thing. So it's very important that we are transparent when it comes to details of everything that they need to know. The other one is consent. Before putting certain kind of monitoring software that we might put, we must ensure that we get consent, or the people are aware of what we are doing, so that it's not a case of we monitoring them, we putting a chip in their computer, and it leads to maybe problem for us as an organization. The other one is focus on results, which I've said over and over again, that it's important that we focus on results. Then another one we can now think of is also formal guidelines. It's important that there are formal guidelines to everything that we do, right? That there is a way we do it, there's a process for it. And we're not just doing it, oh, this is what I think. Or managers are not taking laws into their hands and say this is what they think. Then the last one is regular review. It's important that we review the practices that we are doing so that people don't take advantage of it and turn it to something else, right? So from where we sit as HR professionals or managers, it's rather that we review this from time to time. So when, like I said at the beginning, that I know that a lot of HR people struggle to convince management for you to move to remote work model or hybrid, or even to employ people that want to work remotely. I don't know if there are so many of us, some of us here, that you have tried to employ maybe some of tech talents, and they will tell you that if it's not remotely, they are not doing. But you know that these people are, they are important, or they are good enough for the job that I want them to do. And you are thinking, how do I tell my boss that we should move to remote, because a lot of maybe senior people, because they grew in the ranks by coming to the office every day. So some of them are not really open to remote. So these are some of the ideas that we have that we thought we could share with you. And one of them is know your audience, right? You have to know the kind of person that you are presenting this case to, right? So when you are doing your business case for why you should go remotely, you must be able to know the kind of people that you have, the kind of business leaders that you have, and the kind of information that they like to hear, the kind of data that is relevant to them, right? What is relevant to A might not be relevant to B. So you have to know the kind of data that you can push to your maybe to the CEO or to the MD of the company that will make them to start thinking about, also the management of the organization as an HR person, right? You have to look at what kind of data do I need to push them. Then data visualization is also very important. When you are presenting and you're not just writing stories, you're able to show it on data. This is the impact of this is the retention rate, this is that. Another one is that you can start by doing a pilot program. You don't start with everybody, or you don't start full time. You can say, let's start with once in a month. Let's even try. Let's see. And that once in a month, you want to measure how people have become effective within that once in a month. And you see sometimes they start listening to you and change starts coming. I had a conversation with an HR professional in the course of this week, earlier in the week, and she gave a very nice testimony about how she was able to convince the management of her former organization to move to fully remote, right? And a lot of the work was done by her as an HR professional. She didn't just leave it in the air, right? She was able to present the data, to be able to show them that let us even try small. With time, we'll get this. And she was also able to show them that the fact that they are rigid about everybody coming to the office, they were not able to attract some kind of talent. And because they are not able to attract those kind of talents, it's affecting their productivity. And because it's affecting their productivity, they are losing customers to some of their competitors who are able to, attract the right talents. Then also to be prepared for objections. Definitely objections will come, especially in organizations where over the years they've been successful bringing people into the office. And maybe the owner of the company or the MD or the CEO of the company or the management generally, they just don't believe in this kind of thing. You have to anticipate concerns and objections, but you have to be able to have data to back it up, even before you present it. And don't, because he said no, I won't try again. Let us leave it the way it is. There are always ways to convince them, right? Then the other one is emphasize control. What they want to hear most of the time is, are you sure that these people will not be doing another job when they are working at home? Are you sure they won't be doing other businesses? Are you sure they will not be? So you have to make sure that you have done your homework in terms of what kind of control do we need to put in place that will be right and that will be ethical, that I can use to convince the management. And one of the biggest way we can also put control is using technology, like we said, to be able to track the performance and moving from surveillance, like I've said earlier, to real performance management. Having that, what am I tracking? Once you have what you are tracking, it's easier to track. Then the last one talks about highlight your competitors. It's very critical that you're able to show your management that this is what this competitor is doing. I trust me, from my experience, when you show management that their top competitor are doing something, that moment they are thinking about it. Okay, it's normal, right? So you have to do that work of doing your own research, asking the right questions, going for webinars, going for seminars where you hear examples of companies that are doing it, so that you can push it to them, and with that might convince management further. Then in conclusion, according to one report in ILO, it's 2022, says remote work is here to stay, right? With a trend towards hybrid model. Remote work is here to stay. Whether we like it or not, there are some roles that will not go back. While some will go back, some will not go back, right? And then hybrid has become like the model now. In fact, almost all the people that are graduating now, as they are coming from out of NYC, they are telling you they want to do hybrid. Now we can see, can still push them here and there, but a time is coming when it will be difficult for you to say no to them, because almost all of them will start telling us that we want hybrid. So it has come to stay, right? Also, to productivity impacts nuance, it's really impactful. As more and more people are getting used to it, the level of productivity is also increasing. And because as more and more managers are also able to better manage it effectively, it gets better. Another one we can also think of is monitoring should be ethical and outcome focused. I've said that earlier, that we should not be monitoring for monitoring's sake, where we are monitoring and someone is performing their job and we are still, oh yes, you just lose them. And the computer is waiting out there to get the talent that you have groomed. then HR is central to the success of it. Very important that we know this. As HR professionals, HR is central for this to work. HR, you can't say it's not like let them do what they want to, because we are the ones that will put up the policy, we are the ones that will recommend the technology, we are the ones that will ensure that the performance is being tracked and managed. Right. And for us in Nigeria, while discussing with the employees as well, you need to ask them questions about how do they want to address the infrastructure challenges in their area. Do they have a good internet connection? Do they have power? Right? Is there good power in their environment, or do they have alternative that they want to do? Or can the organization also, help them with this subsidize as well? Okay, for this, we'll buy fuel in your generator, or for this, we'll subscribe for you for maybe 30 gig, 20 so that you don't have an excuse. So these are part of the things that we can look at when it comes to the gig economy, the remote workers, and also, of course, most of us now that we're hybrid. Now, how do we manage them better? So all these are the things that we have in stock. So I would like us to give our feedbacks and questions. I don't know if anybody have vivid examples of challenges that you have faced, or maybe examples of how it has worked for you in your organization. Or do you have questions? Especially maybe you're having challenges with your what do you call it now, the managers and the like. So you can unmute your mic or raise your hand, and then we can take those questions. Okay, please go ahead. I'll go to you can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Wale. Yeah, good
Yeah,
morning,
good
Mr. Wale.
morning.
I don't know if you can hear me
Yes.
properly.
Yeah, I
So
can
I
hear
just
you.
want
Please
to
go ahead.
contribute to the
I can hear you.
conversation and get your statement on. So thank you for this insightful conversation, and it's a great let's say topic currently. Um Specifically for post-COVID, we have seen the rise of gig workers and contingent workforce, right? So I just want to contribute to the conversation and hear your statement on
Okay.
on this my question, right? So basically, speaking because of the labor market, the labor market is a market in which the pricing and buying of labor, where those that want to buy labor and those that want to sell labor come together in terms of the employer and the employee,
Yeah.
right? And the labor market has been, let's say, divided into two main parts, right? We have to call the internal labor market and the external labor market. Right. So for the internal labor
Okay.
market, this is the market in which the pricing and allocation of labor is done according to administrative rules of the organizations, in which workers come in like graduate entries to the organizations from the bottom of the ladder and scale up, right? From graduate entry, you're being promoted to one excellence and other organizations, and it's being decided as best practices for labor market, because where you're seeing a worker come to the organization as a graduate entry, intern and all, they learn the principles of the organization, the values, the cover and everything. They learn the ingredient of organizations, and they're being grounded and all. Now, looking about to the external labor market, now this is a market in which the pricing and the allocation of labor is based upon the demand and supply pendulum, right? In which from the demand aspect as the employers and from the supply aspect as the employee. And when there's a balance between the demand and supply, just like economies, there's like equilibrium and all. But when there's an exit of more demand, that is when there's more demand and there's low supply. That means there's more job employment, but people to fill the employment roles are limited in supply. Right, you have what we call like a wage spiral and all. Or when there's more supply and low demand, that is, there's more workers out there looking for jobs, and there's low demand. That's what the employer doesn't want people to, because there's no vacancy. What we have is more workers.
Yeah.
All about the roles scattered and all, and low demand, and that is being about wage spiral as well. In terms of the workers is now at the mercy of the employer to determine wages and salaries and or etc. So my question is that now that
Yeah.
we are seeing more of this external labor markets, this rises when, especially when there's no equilibrium of the demand and supply. We are seeing more of workers, going to the informal sector. And this informal sector in roles, it encompasses both those in gig economy, right? That's why people, because there's no job and there's no employment, you are being going to the writing Uber services. You want to be or you want make your own employment and entrepreneur and all. We're seeing the rise of this gig economy workers, especially based on the failure of the labor markets. However, my question is that if we are going by that external labor market, what lies the fate of the internal labor market? Because now we are seeing more of unemployment in the society. And when there's unemployment, there's no job on everybody. Everybody wants to fight. So we are seeing more people going into the let's say the gig economy to work and all. So it's more or less seeing a rise in this external labor market. What about the internal labor market, right? When we are seeing people coming to the organization as a graduate entry, because most people farm this ILM
as best practices for labor markets, because you are come to organization, we come in there with to learn what the organization is all about. Come from the ladder, just screen up the echelon and all. But when we don't see these practices again going on, because why we are seeing more of unemployment, and we are seeing more of imbalance of the demand and supply in the labor markets. So what lies the fate of the labor markets with regards to the gig economy? Thank you.
Sorry, you have successfully confused me. I first understood the question. I lost the question again. Now I'm trying to grab the question again. All right, so let me just try to
should I go over again?
No, you don't go by it because of our time, please. Thank you. But I will try to address. I think I get where you are coming from. So talking about the fact that we have the internal labor market and the external labor market, a lot of the people are going to the gig economy. So you're asking what's the fate of those that are internal, right? If I'm correct. Please confirm that that's your question. That was the fate of those that are
Yes,
internal. That's those
exactly.
that
What
start from
lies, because it's being seen as
graduate
best
training.
practices in the employment space. So what lies the fate of the ILM market now?
Okay. So for the people that are working internally, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Um, saying that the gig economy is the new norm, it's right. It's acceptable, but saying that it's going to be the only new norm, I don't agree with that, right? So I think with time, all these things we see consolidates. It's not the first time that trends are changing in terms of the way people want to work. It's not, and by the way, it's not just work alone. It's the whole society as a whole, right? Things are changing everywhere when it comes to the world. It's not just about the workforce alone. So things will keep evolving and we keep evolving. And part of why we're having this kind of webinar is also to enlighten the HR professionals so that we are prepared for what is coming. That even those that you have internally, some of them will start telling you that if you cannot come, they'll start coming to renegotiate their terms because they've seen their friends that are doing it. But that doesn't mean that that the world will become so, I mean, in one way. There will still always be those that will be working in, like factory workers now. For as long as there will be factory, there will be people that will be working physically in those factories. Even when you have robots, there will still be people that will be there to work with the robots. Like security people now, security workers, they have to be there physically, right? Like some of these other essential, what do you call it, an essential aspect of our economy. So people have to be there physically, right? But the point is that as HR professionals, how do we approach this? And that's part of what we are saying. Now, do we resist? We can't resist for too long because, like I said, even your internal markets, that's your own staff. After 2 years, they are coming back to come and fight you. Say that I want to renegotiate I want to become hybrid. Or they've gotten one job with one company in India or in USA while they are here. And the company is paying them in dollars. Why you are just paying them? And they said, I don't want to work here. Or can you allow me to still be working with you while I'm working with that company too? So these are things that will come up. But we as HR professionals or as leaders in organizations are the ones that have to find a way to adjust and adapt. But like I said, I don't think everything will become remote, right? Everything will not become gig. It's a cycle. It will come back again. It's what it is. So that would be my response to your question. Thank you very much for asking.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. I don't know if we have any other one. If we don't have any other question or contribution, because I can't see any other hand raised. So I think I would, if there's none, I think I will just hand over to Dayo now to wrap up the session. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Thank everyone for your time. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Wally, and thank you, Tim Tokwe. That was very insightful. You guys did very, 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 very good job, and I'm sure, like everybody, must have learned one or two things. So as we round off, please check your chat box. We'll be sending you a form. I'll also be sending you a link to our social media pages, so you can just kindly follow us and so I can be aware of our various activities and the likes. So so my name is Rain Adedayo Rabi. It's nice like having you on the call. So before you go, just fill the form and just type in on the chat box that okay, yes, you filled it before you log off. So now the form is on the chat box. So just use it, just fill it and then type I have filled it once you've done that, and then you can log off. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, everyone. Bye. let's fill the form before we leave. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Eniton. Please, let's keep it coming. Once you filled it, just type in on the chat box that yes, you filled it or you're done. Thank you, Eniton. So yes, so let's keep it coming. All right, thank you, Motunrayo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Adibawale Kuka. Thank you, Udo. Thank you, Udo. You guys can log off now. Yes, so, but if you've not filled it, just fill it and then you can log off. And then once you've done that, just type in you are done or it has been filled. Thank you. Thank you, Priska. Thank you, Priska. Thank you, Chidima.